Welcome food fans, picky eaters, the flavor curious, and everyone in between. Nothing makes good food better than good conversation, and your table is ready. Welcome back to another episode of the Food for Thoughtcast with your hosts, Melissa Reagan and Steven Gonzalez, but you can call them Chef. All right, let's get this episode started.
Hey there, food fans. Welcome back to the Food for Thoughtcast with me, your host, Melissa Reagan, and my co-host with the most, Chef Steven Gonzalez. What's up, Steve?
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm super excited because joining us today is Aaron Shapiro, the founder and president of Grillicious. How are you, Aaron?
Doing great. Thank you. How are you both doing?
Pretty great. How's the weather there in LA?
Perfect.
Is it the stock California answer?
No, it's funny though. When you live out here for a long time, I'm originally from New York. And it was funny. We were out walking out one night, and you saw a car that had Minnesota plates, and everybody was talking about how cold it was. And the guy gets out of the car. He's like, "This is like a Minnesota summer, right?" So it was like 52 degrees or whatever it was. So no, it's LA. LA is great. I've been here longer than anywhere else, and wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's all about perspective, right? If I went into LA and was like, "Here, experience this Texas summer," then everybody'd be like, "Oh God, why?" Yeah. So Steve, how's the weather there?
It's nice. It's sunny. It's warming up, so we're going from like 40 to about 90 today. So that'll be interesting and fun.
Man.
Otherwise, how's everything out in your neck of the woods?
It's beautiful. So it's sunny with a high of I think 60 today. It was a little bit chilly this morning. So Aaron, just in case you don't know, if I forgot to mention, I am in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Steve is in Midland, Texas.
Nice.
So, we're crossing all the time zones today.
Yeah.
Well, we are so excited to talk to you today. Thank you so much for taking the time. As we start every single episode, I would love to know what was the most amazing thing you ate this week.
You're probably gonna laugh, but
no judgment.
Sometimes when you have really good Chinese food, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody can go to Panda Express, which I love, but I was coming through Hollywood, I was starving, and I stopped at this Chinese restaurant. It had, I don't know if you know about the restaurant ratings, like A, B, C, and D, right? It was an A restaurant, and she loaded up this thing so much, but it was like the typical, the spicy orange chicken, the beef with broccoli and fried rice. And I was just like, when you take a bite of food and you're just like, I just want more, right? And you just keep eating it.
Yep.
And it was just so good. And it was so simple. But I think because I was so used to Panda Express, and
right.
those flavors, but then
Right.
when you eat it from an authentic, I'm not dissing on Panda Express, but when you have a Chinese restaurant and their version of it, it was just it was explosive flavors, and it's amazing. So that was, I know it's not super crazy, but it was pretty cool. I had some something crazy. No, I didn't. I just had regular food.
You don't have to worry about sparing their feelings. We do that all the time with Mexican restaurants and Taco Bell.
Yeah.
I don't eat it, but I know Melissa does. But that's
I will slum with the Taco Bell every once in a while. But
we
look, it's no Del Taco though. It's no Del Taco.
It's different. First of all, the cheesy gordita crunch. Nothing better than hot sauce. It is so good, so good.
One day I'll do an episode where I actually break down and go eat at Taco Bell, and I'm report back.
We'll do it. We'll do it live.
I have to say, have you ever seen the guy who buys 99-cent steaks for his family and doesn't say anything and wants to see if they notice a difference. Like he buys them from the.
I've seen that guy.
Club.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I haven't.
Like a $3 ribeye from Dollar Tree.
Exactly.
I mean, Panda Express has its niche, right? Like it really fills a role. Like it does its job, right? But it is not more than it is, right? So yeah, if you can find something that's really authentic and that's nothing like it.
Thanks a lot.
It was good. And once again, being originally from New York, like having like a New York style egg roll, right, is something I really do miss, right? You can't find that too much out in LA, like the big thick with the pork and the cabbage and the spices, stuff like that.
Yeah,
Nice.
Absolutely. What about you, Steve?
Well, this is going to be a podcast first. Typically, I talk about what I'm eating, but today I just got back from the gym. So, of course, we got some corned beef that I've been for like almost a month. So that's what we're having. I figured this will be fun and interesting. Wild card Steven over here decided we're going to try something different. So, yeah, just some spaghetti squash, some corned beef.
Nice.
Excellent.
Amazing. Well, let's see. So yesterday I had a kind of what I would like to call a over the trash can meal from a chef's point of view. And so essentially I like shoved some grilled corn and some grilled chicken and some roasted peppers and onions with mayonnaise and ketchup onto a hoagie roll. So it's kind of it was an abomination of a sandwich, but I won't hesitate to say that it is like, it was the most amazing thing I've eaten this week, which it's like, if you knew how my week's been, it's like, is that good or bad? I don't know.
Right.
And
then it's one of those, you eat it in like a minute and a half and you're just like trying to
God, that was good.
Yeah.
But once you get once you get that smokiness off the grilled corn, that makes it all worth it,
Yeah. There's like the smell of grilled corn. It's like when you close your eyes and you're like, I'm at a county fair, right? Like this is what it smells like. Campfire. It's like that sweet smell. It's like there's nothing better. Yeah. Well, speaking of grilled stuff, please. Oh,
what a transition!
Please, let's go. That's what we call that a segue. I love it. Well, tell us all about Grillicious. How did it start? We want to know it all. Soup to nuts. Yeah.
Sure. So Grillicious started off as a grilling product. And we'll go back to the origin story in a second. But what happened is that it quickly evolved into a cooking product. So originally, I was the guy who would take, paper towels and Wesson oil. Once again, not disparaging Wesson, but I would wipe that on my grill thinking it was going to do magic and like my food wouldn't stick, because it all started with like, when you go to take a piece of chicken off the grill and it would like literally pull apart, right? It would get dried out, whatever. Made it disgusting, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I started using Wesson oil. That wasn't working. Then I was like, oh, I know what it is. I need to use super extra virgin olive oil. And that didn't work, right? And the reason it didn't work is because when most knuckleheads cook on a grill, they're cooking, like they just crank it up and cook. Maybe they'll bring it up to like 600 and then they'll bring it down. But the heating surface is still well over 450. And people aren't, we've partnered with Meter, like the Bang Olufsen of meat thermometers, right?
Nice.
And like that gives you very specific, it's like taking the guesswork out of it. But before that, it was just like, oh yeah, I'll just throw my food on the grill. And then what happens is that people have their food marinated in so many things that have sugars that break down once you heat them. And that's why you get all the crap on your grill. And it would be, then you'd have to scrape your grill, and then you'd scrape your grill. And now there's all like, now you have all the bits are like stuck to the
right. Love that.
There was about 2 years ago, there was a doctor, an emergency room doctor out of Florida. Her handle is Dr. Beach Gem 10, and it got like 40 million views. And it was talking about how she had a patient who ingested a wire grill brush shard from a burger that was on the grill, and they had like, it was stuck in the person. It was like a kid, and it was stuck behind here, and it was like blocking the drainage of his, like, like it was just crazy. I mean, just check her out.
So terrible.
Yeah. Ugh. And so the whole idea of like, okay, well, we don't want to use grill brushes anymore. Right. And not that we're going to replace that whole entire industry, but the whole idea was like, there's got to be a safer way. But going back to the smoke point, we started exploring different ways of like, okay, what has a high smoke point? And, you know, some people get itchy about what I'm about to say, but but the amounts that we use are so small. We use a very premium safflower oil as a base.
Yes. I was going to say gas. Oh my God. Are you going to bring up seed oils? Oh my God. Hey, I'm going to say it here, and I don't care who it pisses off. For the record, like, seed oils are not harmful. Get over it.
Yeah,
Get over it.
Right. I will say, like, you know, certain seed oils are better than others, right?
100%. Yeah.
Right. And when you look at the seed oils, we contemplated avocado oil, which everybody, you know, was like, oh, avocado oil. But the thing is, it was too thick and syrupy and viscous, you know, and it also has a taste. Whereas safflower oil is used in restaurants. It's a clean,
odorless, flavorless.
Yeah. So
it's a good carrier. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly right. It's a carrier. So then one day I was at a barbecue with one of my good friends, and his good friend is an executive chef here in LA, and he's Middle Eastern. And all of a sudden he took his fork tongs, put an onion on the end of it, and started rubbing on the grill. And I was like, what are you doing that for? And he goes, oh, he's like, it makes it nonstick for like a second, but then I like the smell, and then that burns off too. And that's when the whole idea came up. How do you get flavor into an applicator that you can use on a grill startingly? And now it's any cooking surface. And what's really interesting is that we launched with an onion flavor, but it wasn't exciting enough for people. Like, it's like chopping onions. That's okay. But like the thing that people seem to hate the most was mincing garlic. And and that's why the garlic, delicious, savory garlic, which we'll get into in a minute, is the top seller. But what I can tell you is that people want ease, convenience, and flavor. And if you can bring all those three things together, then you have something called Grillicious.
That's brilliant, man. It was funny that you got to the onion, because it was going to be the first thing I said was like, onion. Man, if I have to see one more person, because you're right, it's nonstick, but it's like a split second. It's a fleeting nonstick, because you've taken something that's essentially made of carbon, like all, things are, right? And you put it on a hot thing, right? So it's like then you sealed it up, then it's like gone. So I love the idea of something just with a little bit more wherewithal. Sounds like, right?
That's right.
People love that.
Yeah, well, thank you. And as we started to look at it, we were like, okay, you know what? Let's figure out how to get flavor into it. And we went through multiple flavor iterations of how to do this. And what was the funniest one for me, anyway, when I look back on all the R&D that we did. So the product is made in Atlanta, Georgia, Marietta, Georgia, to be specific, right? It's made by a very large flavor and fragrance company. And when we started to do this, like, it was like a lot of people thought that they were really Mr. and Mrs. Smarty Pants. They're like, oh, you're just using extracts. And we're like, no, we're absolutely not. We've extracted the extracts. And the reason being is that you can get extract in any flavor imaginable, right? Sure. You know, it's crazy. Everybody knows the vanilla extract from, making cookies with mom or whatever it is. But the extracts, I remember we had all the dishes set up with all the different flavors. And I said, hold on a second. And I just took, one of those torches, like fire starters. And I just went, and they all lit on fire. I was like, back to the drawing board. Like, we got it. because that's, we were trying to solve for so many different problems as it relates to cooking on a grill. Flare-ups, number one, right?
You might as well use an alcohol wipe, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we like to say that we've extracted the extract, so there's no extracts in it. And then as a complete bonus, all the benefits that come along with the combination of the all natural flavoring and the safflower oil that we're using, it's a litany of positive check boxes, right? Number one that we love talking about is there's absolutely no sodium, right? So I'll just, we aspire to be acquired by McCormick's. We want to convert them to liquid. Like imagine they're one of their best sellers, which is Montreal steak seasoning, right? If you know from Grill Mates, right?
It's my favorite.
Right. So it's great. It's flavorful. It's, all the flavors that we love about it. But it's loaded with sodium and it does have some chemicals in it, right? There's no way around it. We've recreated that, right? So we've created that flavor. So if you were to take our Montreal steak, we haven't put it out to the market yet. It's still in development, but
I was going to say, where can I get one, Aaron?
But essentially it's that same robust flavor. And now, once again, it's sodium free. It's carb free. It's all natural. There's absolutely no additives or preservatives of any kind. And then you start to get into the nutritional benefits. It's gluten-free, right? It's peanut allergen free because, like everybody's like, oh, is it peanut oil? No, it's not peanut oil because everybody has allergies to that, or not everyone, but a lot of people do. It's vegan, it's keto, and it's kosher. So that's all document certified. So if anybody were concerned about something like that, we can easily provide documentation from our manufacturer.
Wow. That does check a lot of boxes. That's pretty awesome.
That's incredible. So how long have you been doing this?
We with all the R&D and all that kind of stuff, we really launched, maybe it was June of 2023. So it's maybe May. I think we started our first, one of our first sales was in May of 2023. And since then we've if you just jump to the homepage of Grilicious.com and scroll to the bottom, you could see all the places in which we have distribution and partnerships.
Nice.
And one of the most recent ones that we're super proud of is the U.S. Coast Guard started buying our product. So if you are in the Coast Guard, and we're proud to serve the servicemen and women of the Coast Guard. So when you go, not all the bases, but a small handful of bases to start, but it's pretty cool to be aligned in that way, knowing that, the people who protect our country, it's a product made in the USA.
Yeah.
It just, as we say, Grilicious makes it more delicious. So it just makes it easy, convenient, etc. But yeah, where would you like to go from here?
So question.
I love that.
You know how you're saying, okay, so it's all natural, no sodium, no chemicals, did you all intentionally do that? Or it just kind of turned out like, hey, wait a minute, it's keto friendly. There's no preservatives. There's how did that fall into place?
Well, so what happened is that, as I said, it was a lot of it was surprise and delight. Like here we made this product and we weren't thinking about those aspects of it. We really wanted non-stick and flavor. That was first and foremost. But then once we start, somebody, of course you go to trade shows and people start chirping and they're like, oh, what about this? What about this? And so we went back to the R&D team and I was like, are we certified in these areas? And, obviously they got the picture when I kept asking. They're like, here is everything that you can say that it is. I'm like, beautiful. There we go. Cool. So yeah, go ahead, Melissa.
I was just going to say, it sounds like you set out to you had your goals, right? And in the process of trying to make the very best product you could, it just ended up being all these exemplary things, which that's what happens through research. But I think it's pretty cool because a lot of people would go, nah, it costs too much to do that. Nah, don't really care about checking that box. Okay, no, I don't care if people have peanut allergies, right? And then they would just cut corners to get there. You know what I mean?
You're taking a positive and making it even more positive. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when y'all go to trade shows, do you ever do but wait, there's more or anything like that or no?
No, Steve, we don't do that.
What's your
or you got the whole you heard it here first, folks. I don't know.
No, I would say that either people get it. It's YK, right? Right?
Mm-hmm.
When people see it, they're like, they look at it and they're like, what is it? And some people are like, I can't wait to use it. Right. So once you,
I can't wait.
Same.
Yeah. the thing is that if you like to cook and you like to make it easy, and now keep in mind, it's not a flavor replacement, even though people use it that way, right? Like they
enhancer. Is that what we're going with? Yeah,
completely enhancer. So like if you marinated, like if you watch, going back, like you look at all the posts that influencers unpaid, 98% of them are unpaid. When they do it, they're like, sometimes they're just cooking straight up, not marinated, not flavored in any way. And then they'll use it. Other times they'll have their sticky honey barbecue thing. And then they'll put it in like with the garlic. And then now all those flavors combine. Right. And, it's funny because, when you have flavor like this, we have a couple of things that have happened. There's this moment when you have the package, right? And we encourage influencers to do this, but as soon as you open it, you're like, holy cow, right? And we have this moment, we're actually in the process of editing it right now. We have so many influencers when they open it and you just see their authentic, visceral reaction to the way it smells. It doesn't matter if it's I will say the habanero doesn't have a scent, but when you open the garlic, when you open the hickory, or when you open the mesquite, it's just like you're hit with a flavor, like this blast, this olfactory. You're like, and like people, the responses are like, oh my God, I can't wait to cook. I'm so hungry, blah, blah, blah. It's just they're rotated, right? Those That's kinds awesome. Of things.
Well, you eat with all your senses. I mean, it's so incredibly important. And people say like we eat with our eyes first. It's true. But it's the same exercise that we have people go through when they're in culinary school or when they're taking sommelier classes. Like, eat this. Okay, now hold your nose and eat it. And what's the difference, right? Like, smell is huge, right? Yeah.
Speaking of olfactory, foreshadowing on something else, right? So very important as it relates to olfactory. But getting back to this, we had a couple of Chop champions who have used and endorsed the product, and
nice.
One of the Chop champions, she did something when we were recording, and at first it freaked me out, and now it's part of, we'll call it the Grillicious lexicon, right? So she was cooking, she was just doing her thing, and then all of a sudden she put the wipe down, right? Because there's a lot of oil in each individual wipe. She put the oil, she put it down, she's cooking the chicken, and then all of a sudden she comes back, and chefs are fearless. She grabs the wipe and squeezes it out right at the end. Right and I'm like, I got panicked at first. I was like, what are you doing? Right? And she's like, and I didn't, she wasn't talking back. She's like, oh, I want more of that flavor. I was like, perfect. So now on the back of the packaging, like right here in the instructions, we say, go for the squeeze, right? Because squeeze is going to add that extra layer of flavor. Like, not even extra layer. It's a flavor blast, right? So those are some of the things, like when you open the package, we said it was maybe a little bit borderline obnoxious, but when you open the package, it opens wallets, right? So like when you go to a show, people are like, yeah, I'll try it, and we originally had 6 to a pack. Right. So right now this is a 3-pack. We originally had 6, but then, like the mindset, people are like, oh, this is a grilling product. And how many times are you going to grill? Some people grill very aggressively, but we were like, no, let's make it more of a consumable. And we went down to the 3. As soon as we did 3, things started moving faster and repeat buying started happening faster. Then the other thing that we did in February of 2024 is that we started bundling, and basically we threw in free shipping, right? So when people would go to buy, they'd be like, okay, $30 a bundle, I can do this, and free shipping, they're like done, right? And it just made it, we, given all the history, and we don't need to get into that, but I've come from a long line of we'll say media monetization and how to basically monetize an asset and make it advantageous for the end user, right? So when you look at like some of those things, we're making it easy. We have a great product that makes it easy to cook and it's easy to access.
That's incredible. I think it's like bundling something is such a way to it's not like tricking people, but it really just makes people think like this is a great deal, and it's just part of the art of like merchandising. I have to say, I didn't think that's where the story was going initially. I thought you were going to say like she licked the wipe. Like I was like, What's happening? What's happening?
Melissa, because we've had we had 2 influencers who did that. I did not recommend that. It is completely fine to take the wipe and go like this, right? The wipe. So let's talk about the wipe for a second. The wipe is made from non-toxic recycled materials. It burns at about 780 degrees. It will absolutely just dissolve on a hot surface. You could throw it in the fire, or it's recyclable. I want to make sure it's not biodegradable, recyclable, right? So it's a big difference. But you could take the pad, the wipe, and you'll get an absolute real sense of the flavor. We have this one influencer. I could send it to you offline, but she doesn't do it anymore. But she had this whole bit where she would take, she was trying to be all sexy, and she would take hot sauces and drink the hot sauce out of the bottle, right? And she was doing flavor profiles of the hot sauce.
Yeah.
It's a good bit, right? It was a good bit, And so we sent her Grilicious, and she was holding it, and she was nervous. You could see her this is a woman who has had some of the hottest hot, if you will. Right. She's like, I don't know. And then she goes, okay, that's, and she goes, okay. And then all of a sudden you just see her, she took way too much, and she doubled over. It's so concentrated that, and that leads to, okay, how many times can you use it, right? So one wipe is you get 3 to a package, and they're loaded, right? So if you're cooking by yourself or for 1 or 2 people, and you have a 10-inch, let's just say a 10-inch cast iron pan, if you wipe down that pan, you will see that there is still so much flavor still in that wipe. Okay.
Can you put it back in the package?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay. So, and that's why the package is resealable, right? However, we don't recommend that on a grill. Unless your grill is brand new and the first time using it, then you could wipe down your grill and put it back in. Any other time, going back to all the other stuff that we talked about, there is so much. I don't care how clean your grill is and whatever systems you use, there's still crap on it, right? There's still soot, there's sediment. So we don't recommend using it and putting it back in the package after a grill. But if you're using it on your crock pot, your air fryer.
Oh, I didn't think about the crock pot. That's awesome.
I like to bring up the air fryer too.
This isn't our first time, right? So I'm teeing you up, right? I'm teeing you up here, right?
It's funny because going into this, obviously, I use grills at work. I've used them throughout my career. I don't have a grill at home. It is not an investment I have made. I have a cast iron. I have a grill pan if I want that, right? But I was just thinking, I was like, I'm going to buy these. I'm going to send them to my brother. He grills all the time. And it was crock pot. I was like, I use the crap out of the crock pot. It's so we'll do that,
you basically just coat the crock pot, and it's up to you how much you want to use on the oil. One wipe should cover a 24 by 36 inch grill nicely, and allowing room for the squeeze on top of it. When you're grilling or griddling, what's great is that you can create different zones, right? So let's just say you making eggs for a bunch of people on the griddle, whatever it was, family. You have the left corner, I'm just making it up, that's going to be the habanero eggs, right? And then over on the right is the, we'll call it the hickory eggs, which are more bacony, that kind of thing. So it has
that favorite flavor.
Me personally?
Yeah. Or are they all your favorite?
No. Yes, they are all my favorite, but I will say, a couple of things that when I've tried them, I'm like, wow, that is really, really good. We'll start with the mesquite. I made mesquite shishito peppers, just sauteed them in a pan. It was so simple, and it just added a dimension of flavor to the shishito peppers, which are great to begin with, right? With just a little bit of
absolutely,
that type of thing. But you're going to laugh when I tell you this, but one of my favorite things is I made a watermelon basil gazpacho with the habanero, and I'm not a chef, right? I was just trying it. And so I served it at a brunch party. We had 10, 12 people, whatever it was. And it's one of those things when you eat salsa right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this sauce is so good, and you just keep eating it and eating it. Like I made the and it was like super hot in LA, like I mean, like oppressively hot. It was already like 100 degrees at like 9:30. So people were like eating this really cool watermelon basil soup, which had the olfactory, even though the habanero doesn't smell. But then you get that heat coming in the back, and it was like they just kept saying it was very complimentary. It was so good. The other thing, you know, burgers with any of the flavors are great. You know, grilled cheeses with the habanero are really
my gosh.
You know, like nicely. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
I'm a big wimp when it comes to spices. Would I be like looking for a glass of water to compliment, or is it like one of those where the heat's just right to where it hits you in flavor and all that?
Well, I will tell you that jalapeno heat is pretty low on the Scoville scale, right? Which measures heat. You know, I think it's less than 100,000. I'd have to look that up. Habanero heat starts at 350,000. So I know as I've matured and my palate has matured, I mean, like I can handle a lot of heat. So some people are like, wow, that's pretty intense. But it is, you know, that citrusy, sweet heat from habanero. So it depends on what, if you were eating it, like just tasting it, you would probably be like, that's way too much. Right.
Yeah.
But if it was when it gets infused into whatever you're making, it would provide that nice heat. But then again, if you do the squeeze, it'll light you up. It absolutely.
I was just going to say, like, I think that this is such an important, it seems like it's such an important tool for like layering flavors. So a lot of the times, you know, if Steve and I are talking to home cooks, they think every flavor has to be at the front of the palate. Like it has to be the first thing that you taste. It's really just about like building layers. And like, when you're talking about infusing something, that could be like really the back of the palate, right? Like or the roof of your mouth, really where you're getting it. Right. And so I think it's interesting because if somebody like Steve is like, hey, I don't like things super spicy. It's like, you just wipe it lightly, right? Like I think it's neat because it's adjustable. And I was going to say, I think it would be really neat if you use the wipe to do for like grilled vegetables, and then you assembled like this warm grilled vegetable salad and finished it like with all the oil across the top. Like that's insane. Like I think this is such a cool idea and cool product. Like with so many like different approaches you can take too. Now I just heard you say something really interesting. Is that you're not a chef.
That's right.
But I want to know, how does a person who is not a chef get into this? Like, what is your cooking story?
Well, it was me just, you know, like I'm you know, it's funny. Let's see if I can articulate this. One of the personas that we have for Grillicious, and it was the first persona, was this guy, Greg, the good to great griller, right? Okay. He is not a grill master. And I can tell you just as a tangent, when you ask people, oh yeah, I'm really good, you know, I cook all blah, blah, blah. And they're like, are you a grill master? And they're like, no, I'm not a grill master. So Greg, the good to great griller, all he wants to do is impress his family and friends and make good food. That's who I was, right? So I was just like, how do we make this process better? And, you know, here's like another anecdotal story as it relates to the packaging. We had some friends over and I made scallops on the grill, and I made it with the garlic flavor, right? Just with that, with a little lemon pepper, and that was it, right? And our friend Carrie, she just kept eating it, and she's like, these are like the best scallops I've ever had. and then my wife is like, oh, well, Aaron created this product, and like, you know, we're just starting to, you know, like, we haven't done anything with it yet. And she's like, oh, you guys are full of crap, you know? And they're like, no, this is it. And like, he's like, I'll do the packaging, right? So she was one of the first people to do our first iterations of packaging. We've all changed it since then, but I mean, it's like she was right there at the forefront. When you say, how do we get into it? It's one of those ideas that always just marinates and just sits behind, right? And we came into some capital, and it was like, let's just see what happens. Let's blow this up. And that's what we're doing. I mean, we officially launched at the National Hardware Show in Vegas, which was in February of 2023. So we were
Nice.
out, right? But like we weren't selling, right? And it was funny because just a little shout out to our friends at Monument Grills. So one of the gentlemen was at a different place before, and now he's at Monument Grills, and he pulled up in our meeting not even 2 weeks ago. He showed me my original packaging that I showed him. And I was like, oh my God, we've evolved so much in such a like relatively short amount of time. Completely different. I mean, we originally had packaging that was like, we just thought like the channel was going to be like Sur La Table and
Sure.
William Sonoma. And we were like, no, this could be way more mainstream once it started getting beyond the grilling part, and using it on all these other different cooking surfaces.
Well, I want it anywhere that the pan lives, right? Like I want this anywhere that I have a wood chip or a cedar plank, or I mean, there's so many different places you could put it.
Right. So when you put it with that stuff, like it's the price point of it is it's tough. It's tough to the palate, right? I always love using food terms when I talk, right? So when you have Pam at $2.99 sitting next to Grilicious at $10,
sure,
it's a tougher. So like at some grocery retail, like they put us at the butcher counter, right? So that seems to be a pretty solid place at a grocery store. But like when it's in like Ace, like where it's several Ace Hardware stores, they put it with all the grill stuff because there's no like they have a couple of spices, they have like grill accessories or whatever. But then you take a company like Barbecue Guys. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys. They are, they're like the Amazon of outdoor cooking. I don't want to say grilling. And we're going to be launching with them like literally any day. And they're owned by Peyton and Eli Manning. And what they've done is they've gone out and negotiated deals with all the OEMs for like the best deals that you can find on grills, griddles, outdoor cooking. And and the reason I bring them up is that they're bringing us up is because they love the versatility of Grilicious as the ultimate upsell. So it doesn't matter, and I'm going somewhere with this, it doesn't matter what section it is. So if you're buying a griddle, that's great. If you happen to be buying spices, that's great too. If you happen to be buying a Spetzer valve for your grill, that's fine too, right? Like all these places. Right. And then when you start to bring us into the Walmarts, the Lowe's, Amazon, and Tractor Supply, who are all partners of ours, you start to see us in different areas, not the typical areas, because all the big players buy all that up already, right? So if you go into Amazon or Walmart and type in grill, Weber or Blackstone is inevitably going to come up somewhere, or
absolutely.
Boss. So they have the capital to be able to own the category, right? So we have to be way more creative in coming in from different angles and things like that.
Well, I think that it's so important to be able to get this in front of as many people as possible. For me personally, like when I'm in a big name store, though, I'm always looking to support the smaller business. Like I want to go find that end cap. I want to go find like the back of the aisle, the bottom shelf, right? Like I know where all the other stuff. I know where the Kenders and the McCormick is and all that, but I'm looking for something that I saw on TikTok or something that a buddy of mine makes, or something like that. I'm always looking for a different opportunity. So I think that's
cool. I like the fact that you can cross merchandise it so easily. Like you said, like if you're in a supermarket, you can put it next to the meat market. If you're in Tractor Supply, things like that, throw it with the grills. I mean, that's just a one-stop shop, and that's smart retail right there on their end. And I love the fact that you can do that. It's great.
Thank you, Steve. And one of the other things that the other category that we're super serving pretty well is camping and outdoor adventure, right? So we have a partnership with KOA. We're an approved vendor. So the whole idea is, so you go to and we don't have full distribution yet by any stretch, but at least, step one, we got approved, because a lot of these people who own the KOAs, they will not even consider a product unless it's a brand that they've seen or KOA has fully endorsed it, right? So we had to go through those iterative processes, and we're there. So the whole idea is that you're at the campsite. I mean, you talk about the smell. We're going to come back to the olfactory in a second, but like one of the coolest things that happened, I don't know, maybe like a little less than a year ago, we were at another friend's barbecue, close friend, and he was going to put Grillicious savory garlic on the grill.
Nice.
And so my wife and I were standing at the grill, and the rest of the party was easily 20 feet away, right? He puts the garlic on the grill, and simultaneously 12 heads all turn. What is cooking? And my wife even said, she goes, that was really cool, right? Like to see that visceral reaction from the smell and the aroma. And that goes all back to some of the stuff that we were talking about. So now I'll keep going on the olfactory train and talk about one of the other areas that we've transitioned to. Steve, I think that hat might be blown off in a second, but here we go. Get ready. We had this influencer who took the product, didn't know what she was going to do with it, right? Mm-hmm. And what she made was a Grillicious sweet mesquite infused Bloody Mary.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Right?
I love it.
Right? So
I'm in. So
it got like 20,000 views or whatever it was. And the whole idea was, the wipe itself is, like we said, it's loaded with oil, but to put that into a cocktail, it's a lot, right? So I got to stretch. So for the restaurant trade, we created this.
Oh man,
right? Nice.
So I'm going to transition to this for a second. So we have two of the flavors that are used in Grillicious, and then we created 2 new flavors. So we use them in cocktails, right? And it's a pump, so there's no accelerant. It's still the same product, right? It's just in a different form. And what the idea is that you could still use Grillicious in the glass, right? And we encourage that. And a lot of people love that, like to swipe the mesquite, like in a glass of bourbon. It just into an old fashioned, it just brings this like olfactory. It's almost like putting on a mask and breathing it all in when you take that first sip, right? So the habanero works phenomenally well in, pretty much any spicy cocktail. But
it's funny that
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's funny that you're saying that it can go into cocktails, because when you were saying that you made that watermelon and basil gazpacho, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Like, maybe just clarify it through like some coffee filters. You get that nice, pretty liquid, and throw a little vodka in there, and then you got like the habanero, the watermelon, the basil, all that stuff. That's exactly what I was thinking too. So when you said the Bloody Mary, man.
I think with it being like fat based, it's that all the craft cocktail trends like fat washing a liquor or liqueur, like your bacon fat, right? Like I think it's very interesting that the kind of the play between alcohol or a non-alcoholic mixer and like this kind of oil-based product. But I have to say, like, it makes me think of like the sci-fi TV shows and like movies I watched as a kid where flavors were distilled into sprays and drops, right? Or like looking something like Star Trek, and it's like a replicator, and you push a button and you go like French fries, and the French fries appear. But like, we're not that far off, right? Like, I don't think, I don't, maybe that is like, well, maybe that is really far-fetched, but who would have thought, right? Like I am almost 40. And if you'd asked me when I was a kid, if I thought that there'd be like a flavor in a spray bottle, I'd be like, no.
Right. I mean, you walk into Starbucks and you look at, we've talked to a lot of bartenders, right? Like as part of the research, so they all have all their crap on the thing. And the number one thing that they'll say they don't mind it, but when it's crowded, like I was just in Vegas for the hardware show, and I was at the Fountain Blue because it was right across the street, talking to those bartenders, and they're like, yeah, right now I don't mind muddling. Right? Muddling is the big thing, right? However, when the show lets out, and when I say the show, like one of the shows at the casino, you're making 20 drinks in like less than 5 minutes or trying to, that's when we come into play. So the idea behind this is that this is, I don't know if you can see that flavor.
Muddle free
mint.
Yes.
So
awesome.
mint is it's always wasted, right? That's number one. They always have to chop it up. And the number one thing is that, do they have it fresh, right? So if you bought mint today and you leave it out and it doesn't get used and it's out, it's gonna start to wilt immediately.
Yeah, so, and it's expensive. Like,
yeah. And this is $25 a bottle. So, and you get 500 pumps out of it, right? So you think about it from that perspective, from we'll say the economics of, we already know that anybody who sells alcohol makes all their money off the alcohol, right? And now if you're able to bring in flavor, like these kind of flavors into those mixes, now all of a sudden it's like, it just makes their drinks more profitable, right?
Yeah.
So
I can't imagine just being able to like float kind of a single layer of like really concentrated flavor right on the top of a drink, just like this. That's brilliant. It's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And awesome. So as we like, that part is just at the beginning. So one of the things that we're excited about, the vegan friendly community has really embraced us, right? Because it's vegan friendly. And now, it's one of the things that they are taking on is that they love the product so much. They sourced one of their UGC folks, and they're doing like a major post with this woman who has like 33,000 followers, whatever it is, but they're doing it on vegan friendly. And so that'll be launching. And what they're known for is really people going to them, not necessarily for recipes, but they're going to them to find vegan friendly restaurants. So as our first real potential entry into the restaurant trade, they want to introduce us to their vegan friendly restaurants so they can make vegan friendly cocktails, right? So it's an angle, right? But if we see that adoption start to take place, but the flavors that we're using, are, like I said, the habanero, the mesquite, we created the mint, and we also have a vanilla flavor, which transition could be used in baking, right? So imagine you're making muffins, right? Spray the muffin tin with, we also make it grillicious as an application.
I'm the flavor freak that would make the double chocolate muffins and use the habanero spray in the muffin tin. That's what we're doing.
Well, that's what we're talking about, like these like layers of flavors. That just change the way you consume food, and it's great.
You're like, spicy chocolate muffins? I got it.
That's the direction that we're thinking. I mean, we said it before, we just need 1 million people to try it once, right? And that's what we're going for. So doing things like this and having you tell all your friends and family, and we're getting there.
Well, you coming on to hang out with us, now you got that 1 million people. We got what, like 100, 200, 300 people? I'm kidding. But like, we love the fact that this is something that it's very versatile. A lot of people when I first heard about it, I thought, okay, well, it's for grilling. But now hearing you talk about it, using it for all these different applications, that's when you just get the wheels turning in your head, and if you're trying to figure out like, okay, well, what else can we do? And then hearing Melissa say like, oh, these habanero chocolate muffins, things like that. And now it's like, okay, well, let's see how else we can one up it. I like
that. You hit the nail on the head. It's all about like, how can this enhance, and going back to what you said earlier, Melissa, how can you enhance the flavor? So we always just say, infuse the flavor, and Grillicious makes it more delicious, right?
It seems like one of my favorite things to do, right, is like the old rosemary sprig with dip it in olive oil and kind of like flavor your grill with it, right? Or like use it as a mop on the steak. It seems like a much less costly and less flammable option, right? So I'm like, when we're talking about flavor enhancing, there are good ways and there are bad ways, and this seems like a great way.
So I'm going to show you something, Melissa.
Do it.
Just take a look at this. This is one of our displays. That's at retail.
Yes, love it.
Yes,
love it.
The thing is that it wasn't selling. Even when we bundled it, it wasn't like everybody talks about. They love the aroma of it. I mean, it was intense. like everybody, I think a lot of people, like if they make a steak once in a while, that like, because everybody throws the sprig, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, you gotta throw my sprig in, but they're not,
Yeah.
like, most people don't know really like
well, the problem with only using the sprig, right, from a culinary point of view, is that you have to break the leaves to release the essential oils.
That's exactly right.
So otherwise all you're doing is you're setting like a pine cone on fire, essentially, right? I mean, one of the reasons I like rosemary so much is because I love hops. So it goes in that same vein. I like resin and pine. Like I like those flavors and even those smells, right? And so even sandalwood, everything kind of like in that realm, right? But if you're not like beating the crap out of the rosemary, or just like using thyme, if you're not releasing the oils between the warmth of your hands, you're not getting anything out of it.
See, and it's funny because once again, not a chef, but like these are all things that like I knew to do, right? So I wanted the rosemary to felt like you had just rubbed it in your
like just broke it in half, right? Yeah. Like that's incredible. I love that.
So it became more of like really holiday cooking. That's where it seemed to perk up, but still not enough. And as a small business owner, you're like an entrepreneur, you got to fail fast, right? And that's why we've sunsetted onion. That's why we if all of a sudden there was all this crazy demand for rosemary, maybe like in cocktails, like a rosemary like that. I mean, the R&D team we already have it, like the formula made, right? So we can bring it back. Like all the hard work has been done. So,
it's the interesting thing about creating demand for a product is it's just all about trying out all the angles, right? Like maybe a year from now you go like, people need a rosemary Cosmo in their life. Like this is what they need, and you do some like Christmas promotional, you know what I mean? Like
it takes off. Like, you have no idea what direction that can go. So,
absolutely.
And you put together a product that's so amazing that people want to promote it for you. Like you were saying, you have a lot of influencers. Like I feel like that's just a home run recipe for success. Like, it's going to keep growing and growing, and that's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's like we deal with a lot. I'm just grabbing a file just so I can quote some actual numbers. Yeah. Like the influencers that, that are just taking on this product, 23,000 followers, 40,000 followers.
Insane.
Was 165,000. I'm just looking to see what else. 86,000. Small ones with 11. Like some of them are resellers. 74,000. Right? Like so. Like yes, there's still micro influencers, but I mean, any one of those, if any of their audience, when they start to transact, it's like it could be meaningful, and we're still trying to figure out, is D2C the way to go? Is retail the way to go? We're doing both,
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know if Steve and I have that kind of followership yet, but we make up for it in good looks. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and the thing is that as we know, it's not all about the number. It's all about the money, right? But it's not all about the numbers, right? Because you could have success from a small microcosm of audience that all of a sudden embraces it, and they're the ones that get it out to the masses. So I mean, there's no stone, no audience ignored, type of thing. And
Steve and I we love hearing people tell their story, letting them tell their story, like getting to know people and products and the why behind, right? But also what we love to do is we love to support the people that come on the show and the products and the cookbooks and the movements and everything else, right? And I think it's kind of like the butterfly effect, right? Like you make tiny little ripples, and the little ripples become bigger waves and everything else, right? And so I can't wait. I cannot wait to try the products. My family's going to get them as gifts, whether they want them or not. It's not a choice.
Authenticity, like everything that you're saying, like the more that we're going in with this conversation, the more I'm like, man, I need to start ordering some. Like I'm fighting very hard to not say, okay, it's ordered right now off my phone, because like Melissa.
Yes, I also have it pulled up on my phone.
Way to be subtle. I'll send something to you. Jeez.
I'm happy to pay. It's fine.
Yeah, same. But like I said, I'm already thinking of who I can send it to, who's going to appreciate it, who's going to really, enjoy it. Like, and it's everyone that I'm thinking of. It's like, okay, they're going to really think this is cool. They're going to really love this. It's just awesome. And that's what we do on our podcast. We just love hanging out and talking and, hearing about
getting inspired.
Yeah.
It's been great. And the compliments that you guys have shared and the excitement around it. I'm glad you guys are drinking the Kool-Aid or drinking the Gorilla. But it's it's like, are we there yet? No. Will we ever be there as far as I'm concerned? Until you start, like, I'm very inspired by the Dude Wipes story. I don't know if you know Dude Wipes.
Yep.
Yep. They have literally changed the game, right? As it relates to, what a wipe can be. And not that we don't compete in that space at all, but it is still the connotation when people say wipes, they think cleaning. And we are not cleaning at all. Right. But look at Dude Wipes and just the way they can use like, turned around the whole idea of toilet humor and like use it to their advantage in a way that everyone appreciates it. Excuse me. It is amazing how they've done that. Right. Yeah. Like, I just have to say, I'm a hockey player and a fan.
Oh, nice.
Dude Wipes on the back, behind the goalie. It said, Dude Wipes, making sure you have a clean crease, right? Which, and I'm like, this, like, first of all, I already love these guys to begin with, and now, like, I love them even more. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
I think, well, I would be quite honest with you, right? Like, when you reached out to the podcast, I read the word grill and I read the word wipes, and I was like,
cleaning.
Okay, like, I was like, it's a wet wipe for a grill. Interesting. And to be honest, right? Like, we get 1,000, not we, but I mean, like, we as human beings, right? There's a lot of emails that come through. So I will skim them. I see what's spam, and then I go back and read later. But on first glance, it was exactly that, right? I was like, it's a cleaning product for the grill. This is weird. Then I reread it, and I was like, oh, it's flavored. I was like, that's cool. But it's just breaking out of that mold and kind of getting it into everybody's consciousness, I think, will be like half the battle, right? So,
yep, that is half the battle. Like, we strive we strive to have people use it, everyday use in the kitchen. Like, think about your bottle of olive oil, right? Like, how often are you using a bottle of olive oil, right? Mm-hmm. And pretty much everything that you cook in a pan, right? So if we can catch up to that, and we just become this ubiquitous, like, oh, I need my, that's why it does so well with the camping community, because they don't want to bring a bottle of oil, right?
Yeah, it's not realistic. Like, it doesn't make sense,
Right.
That's space and be in safety and
all of those things. So, but you know what? We're just trying to hit one pallet at a time, and we're proud of the work that we've done. There's still a ton more work to do, but like I said, being in with your audience and saying, "Hey, go buy Grillicious," we can, you know what? Only because I'm super generous. No, we'll set up. We'll set up because you can get anybody going to the website and get 10% off, right? Nice. So what we can do, and we'll put this in, but we will, like, so when this goes live, we can give a 20% discount on.
Oh, incredible! That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and that still includes the free shipping. So
I will hype the crap out of a product. I will do it.
So what I'll do is after we get off, I'll create the discount code. What do you want it to be? Like, what do you want it to be? Like, some letters and then the number 20. What do you want it to be?
Well, let's be food fans. Maybe, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Food fans 20.
Food fans 20. Okay, so I'll send
nice.
I'll send you the link after that. So, but Steve, you can't use the link.
Deal.
You have to pay full price. Okay.
I have to pay twice the price.
I'm gonna pay full price. But
we want nothing but support. We made a lot of new friends through the podcast, and we just love helping everyone out and grow their brand name.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to, for somebody like yourself who would say, I'm not a chef, but there was a problem to be solved, right? But I think in many like, meanings of the word, you are, right? Like chefs have this incredible relationship with flavor, like understand how to build them and put them together, right? So maybe not in the classic sense of the word, but whether you are or not, right? I would say you're a little bit further past home cook. And I think it's important. People get hung up on terms, right? But I think it's important. Like you found a problem, you solved it. The way that you work with flavors is no different than cooks do, right? Than chefs do. And don't sell yourself short.
Thank you for that. I wouldn't want to claim to be anything chef-like. I mean, I can definitely cook, right? But I know we're coming up on time. Any last questions you guys have for me? This has been wonderful. You guys are semi-nice. I love it.
My question is, where can everyone find you?
Yes, where can we find you?
I mean, you can go to Amazon. You can go to Walmart.com. Obviously, you can go to our website. That would be the ideal place. Especially.
And then on Instagram, right?
Yeah. Like Instagram, TikTok following's just starting to percolate. It's nice. We'd rather have distribution than TikTok followers that I would say that and Amazon than Instagram followers that are just people in bikinis or showing how they work out. Like the people follow us.
Absolutely. You create the relationship and create the fan of your product first. And then the following will come, right? Like
anytime I see the scam come through, like they say they like something, I was like,
you didn't look at it. You don't even know what it is.
But any last questions for me, you guys? This has been great. So thank you for creating the forum for it.
That's it, Aaron. Thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Take care of yourself. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day out there in Los Angeles. Stick around right after and we'll chat, but take care. Thank you so much for coming on. We hope to hype this and help you build this and help you get lots of new buyers and lots of new fans. So you take care. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Steven.
That's a wrap for today. Until the next episode of the Food for Thoughtcast, make good food, eat good food, share it, and be kind to one another.
Thanks so much for listening today. You are part of what makes us special, and we are so glad you joined us. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and leave a review. Just like food, delicious podcasts are better when you share them with others. Come back for seconds wherever podcasts are served, and we'll catch you in the next episode of the Food for Thoughtcast.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at the Food for Thoughtcast or at www.foodforthoughtcast.com, where you can link to all podcast players, or you can send us an email at foodforthoughtcmc@gmail.com.